What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Blacktop Podcast. After a quick little hiatus, just because of life, school, and everything, we're back. Christian's gonna be on call, no video, just because his computer's a little kaput at the moment. But boys, how y'all doing? What y'all been up to?
Damn, it's been a busy time, man. It's been good though. It's been fun. Feel like a lot of new stuff in life. A
For
lot
sure.
of a lot of exciting things that I'm actually really that I can't say now, but I will talk about in the future that hopefully Blacktop can get involved in. But yeah, it's gonna be some dope stuff.
What about you, Chin?
I've been good. Been been watching some basketball to be honest. Not like as much as I'd like to, but I'm doing good.
Dope. Yeah, I mean, this week overall has been kind of weird with ball because, like, Sunday there were no games. This coming Sunday, there's also no games. I think that's all just having to do with the in season tournament, which, speaking of, today's episode is really catered towards just, you know, we're at the final steps of the in season tournament. So we're going to just discuss how we feel about it overall, what can they improve on, and just the teams that are left, as well as we're getting to that point. December 15th. That's the date that a lot of these guys that are on fresh contracts can finally be traded. So we're gonna throw out some trades, maybe a few where it's like directly here's how the framework would be, but someone could just be like, I want to see this guy on this team. But let's get right into it, y'all. In season tournament, the past couple of days, pretty solid runs, I'll say. What y'all think?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say this. I feel like I would say Adam Silver has been cooking.
Oh yeah,
Like if you think about everything that since he's come on and all the new stuff that he's implemented throughout the years, whether it's the All Star game, the play in tournament, now the in season tournament, like all these different formats and changes. Like I don't know if there's ever really been a miss in terms of his tenure. I mean, maybe you can
yeah, I
argue
mean,
a
this
few
is the All
things,
Star
but
game how it is now, but I don't think that's really his fault. It's more so there's that
yeah.
where you're thinking the long run rather than the whole in the moment thing, I guess.
And I think like the All Star game is typically like there's been a number of years where it's not the most competitive and but he's trying stuff. He's trying something new, and it worked for a number of years. And then, and you're seeing it kind of go back to it. But that's the All Star game, like you said. But every game has been fun. Like I think last night, the Lakers Suns game. I think the night before that with the Pacers and Celtics, like there's a playoff atmosphere in December.
Yeah.
And I think that's so new. And I think obviously the other games are double digit losses, but like it's just fun basketball, man. Like you can see that guys really care about this in season tournament, and like the competition is there, the crowd is there, just the environment changes, and like I think it's been so fun. The basketball's been good, and you're finally seeing like players that who deserve the spotlight get the spotlight in national TV. Like obviously Halliburton, he gets he finally what is it? That was his only like his second national TV game
Like ever,
the other
yeah. I
night.
saw
Jeez.
No,
that. That's insane.
yeah, so that was I was like people are talking about Halliburton, but don't people don't realize how good he is because they don't see him on the national stage. So now people are really really understand what Halliburton looked like. I think the in season tournament has been like just spot on. I think the first season can have gone any better in my opinion so far.
For sure. Let's start with that game. Pacers Celtics. I mean, undoubtedly, I think even if you look towards the games that we have upcoming, this was one of the best games of the season and is going to be
Yeah,
one of the best games of the season. It was giving the vibes of that Kings and Clippers game last year that went into like double OT, where it was just like shot after shot after shot after shot. And, little defense was being played, but I think in particular, like how you alluded to, we're seeing Hallie really ascend from, you know, being a star to now he's undoubtedly like in the realm of like superstardom, in the mold of like a true bus driver, and really just that Pacers team's just got a lot of like solid dudes. Because I mean, Miles Turner's a guy that's been heavily slept on throughout years. Aaron Neesmith is a guy that's really starting to come back into his own. Just
I mean,
overall
against
that
his
whole
old team
squad.
too, right?
Yeah, yeah. The like last little rebound he got on him, nasty. Speaking of Pacers and Celtics, Chin man, how'd you feel about that game?
I mean, I can't be mad. I think I definitely agree with the sentiment that it was like a playoff game. I mean, I feel like playoff games go one of two narratives. It's either like heavily defensive and like you don't know who's gonna get a bucket next, or it's just like a gunfight and everyone is constantly scoring buckets. And it was definitely that sort of narrative. And I think the Pacers have already been known to be one of the best, if not, objectively the best offensive team during periods of the season already. So I can't be mad at the loss. It's definitely like I don't think it looks good on the Celtics by any means, but I think it's just like I think it's good for the Celtics to lose a game like this because there has been obviously a pattern of losing in big pressure games, and good to get the L's out now and regroup as a team, and you know go for the real thing when it does come time. So
True.
I'm not gonna act like I didn't want to see the Celtics win the in season tournament, but I had a feeling the Pacers were gonna win that game just based on how they were playing.
Yeah, coming out of halftime,
Yeah.
it felt very like, oh man, tide's starting to turn. But
Yeah,
I mean, if there's any sort of what's it called, silver lining, I think it's the fact that they get a home game on Friday, and even looking to like the Bucks and Knicks, I think that was a big like thing on the table where the loser of this game is not only knocked out of the in-season tournament, but now you're gonna have to go into the best team on paper in the league on Friday on their home court. So yeah, overall, very fun game. Pels and Kings. This one was you know, I think it was very, very nice up until when the Pelicans started to pull away. But I mean, this is the first time we really saw the Pelicans fully healthy. How are y'all feeling about the sort of first look into their squad at full health? Because I mean, on paper, CJ, Bi, Zion, Jonas Valanciunas is another guy that's heavily slept on. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy just got back, and we're not even talking about Jordan Hawkins who got benched. And not only that, you got the undrafted dogs and Najee Marshall and Jose Alvarado. I think if there's a year where like the Pelicans have to get everything right, I think this is the year because you know contracts are going to start coming up. We all know how Zion is in the long run, and I'm just very. It was a good little teaser, but I'm excited to see how like the whole thing finishes off looking, and tomorrow's going to be a big indication of that.
Yeah, I think like they definitely have a very short window to try and win here because of the fact that I think all three of us can agree that Zion staying in New Orleans long term is probably an F.
Mm.
Like I'm quite skeptical about it. If I was a fan, I'm sure even more. Just considering all the conversation that's been had and even some of the stuff that he said about being in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't really feel like I've learned anything new about that team, other than when they're healthy, they're good. Because this was the same situation they were in last year. I mean, they were a top three team before the injuries. Like, this is a really talented team, not to mention the pieces, like you said, Jose Alvarado, Najee Marshall. Like, this team has depth, they have character, they're well coached. I just think, like, it's the health is the biggest problem for them. And if there's any indication right now that this team can stay healthy, like I mean, they just show that they're still one of the better talented teams and better well coached teams and well run teams in the NBA at the moment. I think the thing with Zion too is he seems to have taken a step back in terms of the overarching flow of what they do on the offensive end, which I don't think he's had. I think he hasn't had the season that we all would have thought we would have wanted him to have. He hasn't come out and looked like
Yeah,
a breakout
lot more
player
passive at the
necessarily.
moment.
Yeah, and I think he's put in that role a little bit to be more of a playmaker, considering how much attention that he gathers on the offensive end. But we still haven't seen that best version of Zion. He said it in a press conference that he's kind of taking a step back right now, right, and trying to buy in. So I think this team is championship contender worthy, but the health is always an issue. It's always going to be an issue. I mean, they had an issue with health with CJ already. It's just a matter of staying consistent. But like, you can't really say that they're gonna be a team to watch out for until they finally show it or have some consistency long term because they haven't had it.
No doubt. Switching things up, Chin, how you feeling like how Sacramento looked not only in this game, but a little overall as much as you've been able to watch them this season?
I think Sacramento has been. I don't want to say this because I think it's a bad reflection of what they like actually look like, but I feel that they are like what Utah looked like in like 20 what are the Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell periods. Like I'm not saying they're at like a mediocre level by any means, but I think they're just now a consistent team that has proven that they're going to kind of be where they are for the foreseeable future. Now, I think maybe the difference there is that you have a player like Domantas Sabonis who I think, plays at all levels on the floor and can really not elevate his game even more, but at least be like a cornerstone piece. And, I think they're in comparison to that Utah team from the past, like I think they're a team that's a piece away. Like I think if there was a team that, even though like fit doesn't really make sense and it's just more so where my brain is going, like they're a type of team that I could see maybe Zach Levine going to, for example. Not saying that that's the perfect fit, but I'm saying like that could be the piece they need to be like that team. Right now, I think
For
they
sure.
can
For
take
sure.
quite a few. Yeah, I think they can take quite a few games off of a good Western Conference team. But do I think they're at that level? I think they're not exactly that.
Yeah, they're
That piece could have been Kuzma, man.
it could have been. Still can be,
True.
you know what I'm saying? We'll talk about it later, but definitely they're in that realm of teams that are like a piece away for sure. All right, the second nights of games. I mean, I told y'all, man. December is when the Bucks will start rolling. I mean, the defense is still non-existent, but I think what we're really seeing is the transition from, Dame trying to not really step on any toes to now where he's starting to really get a grasp of like the offense and the ebbs and flows of everybody. We're going through a little bit of an injury bug right now. Jay Crowder's going to miss the next month or so. Pat Connaughton's out at the moment. But overall, we're really seeing, you know, Dame and Giannis really start to get on a roll. And, it's beautiful to see. I was definitely someone who thought it'd be a little bit of a long gelling process, and it's proving to be that so. I just think that, you know, the signs are starting to show or starting to point up. And like the only thing now at this point is just continuing to mesh together as well as really keying out on the defensive side of the ball, which, you know, Adrian Griffin, first year head coach, still kind of getting, you know, a grasp of things. I think that's something that'll just grow with like continuing to go throughout the season. So, I don't think they're gonna get back to like the top five, top 10 like surefire defense that they've been for the past few years, just because when you lose Mike Budenholzer, that's a big reason for that. But I do think they're gonna get back to being like middle of the pack, potentially slightly above average for sure. But another person I think we gotta give some respects back to, Julius Randle, man. Dude has been dude has been on a tear. He's gone from shooting tour dates to man, they almost put a 50 on us. But I mean, let's talk about the Knicks. How y'all feeling about them right now?
How do we all feel about the New York Knicks? Oh, I don't know, man. They're
I
they're
never.
they're. I don't know. You let me. You go ahead, Chen.
No, I was just gonna say I never know how to feel about the New York Knicks. I
Yeah,
think
man.
they're pretty much I think at the equivalent level of what the Atlanta Hawks are at. Like you think one year they could be one of the better teams in the East, and then the next year they're just like they're terrible. Like at this point in time they're definitely playing good. Don't get me wrong, but I think what's just really, scary about their team, like not scary for them at least, is that they have so many variables. I think Julius
Mm,
Randle, like if he's going to be a cornerstone piece, on nights where he's the number one option, you can't really rely on a guy like that if he's going to give you like, you know, 30 points on 20 shots, for example. That's not a terrible clip, but you know what I mean, like 30 points on 30 shots, or you have a guy like RJ Barrett who gave you 23 that night, but he might give you 14 the next, and
yeah.
I feel that they're a team that is just so like full of uh variables and sort of like you never know what you're gonna get type of thing. And um I was high on them when Julius Randle really started to pop off in New York, and now I don't really believe the hype. I think I really need to see some results at this point.
Mm,
I just think they lack a surefire guy too, right? Like Brunson, as much as we love Brunson,
Yeah.
like they have solid pieces. It's just it's kind of a team that has. They remind me so much in a sense of like, not with the same consistency, but a little bit of the Raptors or the Hawks, like from the 14 until like the 18, where consistently good playoff team, consistently there, but early exits, same issues, not really having that guy. And there's a lot of, if they underperform, the team, quite frankly, can't overcome that.
mm.
So
Hmm.
I don't know. I think New York is lacking a surefire guy to fill in that roster, but yeah, that how I feel about them. I'm on the edge of me saying blow it up with that
Ooh.
team.
I mean,
Unless we,
I'll
I
put it
don't know.
like
Until
this.
we get that guy.
I feel like they're just the same old New York Knickerbockers. I mean, you know, the last time they were even really like surefire contenders, I don't think. Well, Ruby might have just been born, but Chin and I weren't even, in the realm of being born yet. And because that's all to say that this team kind of is giving off the vibes of like when Melo was in New York, where you have like a clear
Yeah.
bus driver in Melo, and in this case now it's Jalen Brunson, and you got a
I wouldn't even
solid
call him a
second
bus
dude.
driver though.
You wouldn't call
I
Jalen
wouldn't even
Brunson a
call.
just bus driver?
I wouldn't call him a bus driver.
I think he.
I don't think he's leading your team to an
You know
NBA
where I
championship.
think right now he's in like he's sort of where Hallie was when he first got traded to the Pacers, where there's a lot of the potential, but now you just need him to realize it. I think he can for sure grow into like maybe not like okay, maybe bus driver is a little bit of an overstep, but definitely being like the guy on a team or like a 1B, not necessarily like a
A featured guy,
full
yeah.
ass
I think
roster.
he's a perfect 1B guy. I think he's a
Yeah.
perfect 1B.
Yeah.
But again, when your point guard is that's really difficult to win at that level too. But I know what you're saying.
Definitely. And then when it comes to Julius Randle, he's either like what they need is a solid like 2. And we'll talk about it later, but they're another one that is maybe like a piece away. That's not a piece away from contending or from being a surefire contender, but it's a surefire piece away from maybe not exiting the second rounder with an injured Heat squad.
That brother is a roller coaster ride by
True,
definition.
undoubtedly. All right, Lakers Suns. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to win a game when you got 20 turnovers. This was a game where I think everybody was really expecting like a shootout, and didn't necessarily turn into that. So I mean, how were y'all feeling about the whole overall flow of this game? Because I watched a bit of it when I was like at dinner with my lady, but I had to work during the fourth quarter. So how are y'all feeling it?
How y'all feeling? How do you feel about it, Chin?
I only caught a bit of this game. I mean, to be honest, like I think I never really know what to expect out of Kevin Durant and LeBron James specifically, and they were the best players in this game. Um, I think just because like I'm just waiting for them to, eventually, deteriorate, but they're always showing up to games and still being those guys. And I don't know if you guys saw that. I forgot who it was. KD was beefing with. It was like a brand. I think it was Adidas on Twitter. about how he was old, and I just thought it was funny. But so and it's like some social media rep like was trolling him. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Like I think at this given time, like both of these teams, I think are two of the most incomplete teams in the West. For their own respective reasons. I mean, Bradley Beal's barely touched the ball this season, and I think,
Yeah.
Yo,
and
sorry
then
to cut you
with
off, but isn't it fucking crazy how Kelly Oubre got hit by a car? Hit by
And
a
he's
car.
back before Bradley Beal.
Yeah, he's back before Bradley Beal.
I saw that. Actually saw that. That was crazy. That's crazy.
yeah,
Was so sorry,
I
my
think
bad.
that there's some shit brewing for sure. I think they're just letting Bradley Beal like incubate a little bit before they release him and go into the playoffs and absolutely go on a tear. But I don't know. The Lakers obviously have their problems with like not knowing who to start, having like this sort of Austin Reeves not decline, but just sort of I guess plateau maybe is a better way of saying it. And yeah, I don't know. I think like both of these teams, like in my opinion, just kind of made it to this point in the play-in tournament by sheer force. But I'm not really impressed by either of these teams, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
fully agree.
yeah, yeah. That I will say the game was really fun to watch. That game
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a lot of fun to watch. I think it was clearly a LeBron versus Kevin Durant matchup. Booker had a lot of issues last night in foul trouble. He just didn't look in a flow. And I think what the Lakers do, at least particularly well in this matchup, is they had a lot of good guys defensively to match up with Booker and
Yeah,
KD
a lot of bodies they could throw.
and a lot of bodies. Like you're thinking about Torian
Mm-hmm.
Prince, Vando.
Say
You're
his
talking
name.
about
You
LeBron
know,
himself.
say his name, Ruben.
No, okay, you know what? Listen.
Say his
All right,
name.
all right. Here, I'm looking right here, on record. Cam Reddish is a real NBA player.
That's what I'm
I will
fucking
say that
talking
today.
about.
I will say that today. That brother, that he can guard, and I think he was going back and forth at it with D Book too. A lot of physical defense, a lot of physical play by Cam Reddish, but he looks good out there. I mean, Austin Reeves hit a big shot. I think, you speak to the decline of AR Chen. I think a lot of it has to do with what you mentioned, like this lack of consistency among roles, and that's kind of what happens when your team switches 8 players every freaking year.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yep.
no you have your core, but like they have no cohesion going in from one season to the next. They have this momentum, then they cut it with a whole new team, and then LeBron's left there complaining every single season. Going into the trade deadline, they trade 5 guys, and the same thing happens again. I don't know, man. Like you said, they just kind of got to this point. Neither of the teams, impressed, but I think I'm more worried about the Suns after this game. Only because of the fact that yes, they haven't had Bradley Beal for a while, but don't you guys just feel like this team just doesn't have enough? Like when I watch them play, I just feel like it's hot potato between Book, KD, and I guess whenever Beal gets into
Eric
the
Gordon.
game. Yeah, like I just
I think they just need a point guard.
Eubanks.
I think that's really
Yeah.
the only thing they're missing. I think Books, he's capable of being a lead guard, but you don't necessarily want him being your primary initiator. He
Yeah,
does his work
you need someone to
best
set the
when-
table.
Yeah, when someone's able to set it up for him, he gets to his spots. But when he has to like pull sort of double duty, I think that's when, the Lakers are really successful in throwing bodies at him and, always sort of cutting off his ability to really get to his game and really
Yeah.
isolate
They're
him.
stunting a lot of his action last night. Like that was
Yeah.
like exactly what you said. They stunted a lot of the action because when he has the ball in his hands, typically it's coming off of a down screen, a DHO, or just a set play, and that allows him to get a running start. But half the time he's got this ball crossing the floor. Like that also exerts a lot of energy, a lot of mental energy when you have to run the team. And so, I mean, it's difficult. I think there will be some alleviation when Bradley Beal gets back, but still, man, I kind of watch them and I go, this team doesn't have something. Like this team just like I'm watching them and it's like KD takes a shot, D Book takes a turn, they kick it out for a grenade by, Grayson Allen, a grenade here and there by Eric Gordon. You know, they get a nice lob to Drew Eubanks. The next time they try it down, the dude can't catch the ball. Like it's just something I watch them, and it feels like I'm watching a 35-year-old guy at the YMCA with that knee brace, and he can barely run up the floor. But when he finally gets the ball, like he can make something nice with it. But that's every like fourth possession because he's barely making it up the court. You know what I mean? Like I'm just watching. I'm like, ugh. Like I'm watching
Yeah.
the Suns. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
they're a team that lacks insurance. There's
Yeah,
nobody to really like fall
dead
back on
ass,
if a
man,
guy goes down. Like,
bro.
they're
Oh
they're they're
my god.
like they're what's a they're like a BMW. Really
Oh
cool to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
drive, really fast, but that shit's gonna break down on you.
Ain't no
The Denver
Subaru.
the Denver Nuggets are a Subaru. The Denver Nuggets are a
Yeah, yeah.
Toyota. Japanese
Yes, sir.
engineering, fully
Yeah.
fully engineered to go the distance.
Yeah, bro, 100%. Laker, you can say the same thing about the Lakers. They just have a bit more depth, but like
Yeah.
I feel what you're saying, man. That's luxury at its finest.
Yeah, the Lakers I think are going to start to turn a corner though because,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think it's any surprise or coincidence that, Devin Booker really struggled and Jared Vanderbilt gets inserted back into the lineup. He's a guy that, man, if he if you just gave him like the shooting of an average player, he would be in like the same vein as like a Mikal Bridges type. Now he's still a solid guy, but getting him back into the lineup I think is really gonna help to get this team rolling because one, you'll actually be healthy and you'll be able to like really see how your team can operate. And then two, Jared Vanderbilt's just a baller, man.
Mhm. I love
Yeah.
Vando. He's the perfect guy you want on every team, right? Like
For sure.
hustle plays, defensive abilities, like versatility. I mean, he's offsetting exactly what the Lakers have a lot of, which is like guys who can score, guys who can create, play make, all that kind of stuff. So you need that. You need that. And like you said, no coincidence that Vando makes an impact right when he's back.
For sure. For sure. All right, just to end off this little section we got going on for the play-in, let's do our picks for the semis as well as who we think evidently wins. So,
Mm.
first game, I don't know why it's at 2 o'clock, but you got the Pacers and Bucks. Who y'all got here? And why is it Milwaukee?
Mm,
Chin.
I feel like something about me is telling me that the Pacers are gonna win this game.
I'm with you there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, DJ. I want to go. I want to go the obvious pick, but I'm with Chin on that one.
Hey,
I just
the Bucks don't play well from behind, and that's all that the Pacers do when it comes to it, with just pacing and spacing. So, I think it's possible that, Milwaukee doesn't go full pedal to the metal, and then all of a sudden they're down 20 and they're playing catch up the whole game, for sure. But I just feel like y'all know how they're getting the comps to like the 7 seconds or less Suns all the time for the Pacers. Would y'all say that's like a fully positive thing? Because I guess I'll say it like this. I think it's a little kind of a hit or miss thing because the 7 seconds or less Suns are revered as like one of these like all-time favorite teams to watch.
Right.
But when it comes to actual producing and like full on like getting it done, getting a chip and anything like that, it always sort of fell short. Whether it was in Phoenix with Steve Nash or in Houston with James Harden, it's always kind of been limited when it comes to like the game slowing down. Now that's obviously in the lens of when it comes to the playoffs, which you know I would say and I would hope that that the in season tournament, especially these semis where it's going to be in Vegas and this whole kind of like whole grandeur like display. I hope you do get some of that feeling, and if it is like that, I do think that you know it might get a little tough for the Pacers. But I also that's the kind of feeling I had going into the Celtics game, and they were able to like really beat that whole idea. So I'm excited nonetheless, but I just think that there's no one that's going to be there to stop Giannis. There's no one that's going to be there to stop Dame. Just like how we don't really have anybody who can stop Hallie. So, I'm
Yeah.
expecting a high scoring game. But yeah, I got to roll with my boys here. But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. It'd be crazy, yo? So you know how Michael Improli's like been the sort of figurehead of all of the commercials and stuff? How much you want to bet there's going to be like a final commercial that's like shows him like pulling up to the arena, and then like he's the one who's got the ball and he brings it out for tip off. I feel like they're gonna do something like that.
I
Just
think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be something cool.
But
I
those
feel like they're gonna
commercials
do
overall
something
have been
cool.
like very sick.
Yeah, they've been sick, man. Like awesome. The branding has been really cool. Man,
Definitely.
I'm excited for that game. Like we don't realize that Indiana is first in team scoring. Milwaukee's third. Like I think this is going to be explosive offensive game. Because also not. I don't think there are any featured guys on either team that can guard the other featured guy. So I think it's gonna be a high scoring affair. And I think, quite frankly, it's the team that probably misses the most shots, turns the ball over, gets the most offensive rebounds. I think that's going to be what sets them apart.
Mm.
Because I don't think this will be a slow down game. I think the smartest team will be this. I think the smartest team, or who eventually wins it, will be the team that slows it down. And
So
I think that may
Milwaukee.
be Milwaukee. I think that may be Milwaukee. But there's just something about Indiana right now where they're just on this tear and this momentum that it's really hard for me to just think that, you know, I don't know. It's different. The end season tournament's crazy. And you're saying something about 7-second offense. Like the game has changed so much where it's almost like every team is doing that to some degree. You know, like even you can even think that the Golden State Warriors, to some degree, were very similar in that sense,
For sure.
finding the best open shot. But anyways, fun to watch. I'm excited for that game.
Definitely. If y'all had to, y'all were betting people, would you say it goes over like what's the average? 250. Would you say it goes over 250? Total game score 125 apiece
I'll still go on
Yeah.
the under.
for
I'll still go
that.
on the under.
No, I got the over for sure.
I want to see some. I want to see some fireworks. Do y'all
You
know?
want to see like 146 to like 138 or something like
Yes,
that?
sir.
Oh damn! I think. Oh man, it's hard. I'll go on the under. I just think there's some really good defensive players still on each team for some of that stuff to happen. But
Do y'all know where like they're playing?
No idea.
in Vegas, yeah,
No,
they're
like
playing in
where
the they're playing in that dome, that new color that in Vegas. It's that new dome that has like a crazy background, and it's like
Oh, the sphere thing that James
the
Dolan.
sphere. Yeah,
What?
they're
No
playing.
way.
Yeah, are they
Really?
not playing in that? Yeah,
Oh, that's.
are they not playing in that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're playing. Yeah, they're playing the sphere,
Sphere's got a
the MSG
court.
sphere. Yeah, they're
Oh,
playing in
that's
that.
gonna
No,
be.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure they're playing in that.
That sounds intriguing, for sure.
Maybe I'm
I
totally
had no idea.
wrong.
If it sounds like it's right, I'll say that much.
I have a feeling they're playing in the sphere. Oh no, I'm wrong, man. They're playing at T-Mobile. They're playing at T-Mobile. Bro, can you imagine that? Dude, that would be sick if they played in the sphere, though. You know?
That would be.
Can you imagine? Damn, that'd be crazy.
For the owners, I don't think anybody really fucked with James Dolan like that.
That's true.
All right.
James Dolan.
For the West, though, Pels and Lakers. How y'all feeling about this one here?
I got the Lake Show.
I think I got the Pels taking this game.
Oh, fuck. For me, man, it's a BI revenge game. I think the Pelicans pull this one out. But it's all
I think
dependent on if Zion wants to show up and not just score 12 points.
Yeah,
That's true. I think Bi is just capable of really turning it on when like he's heating up, and I think I don't know. I think there's just more consistency coming from the Pelican side at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when you got every other game Davis, you know, it is how it is.
Hey, he's been really good on the defensive end though. That guy
That's
has
true.
been spot on. I don't know. I this is going to be a fun game to watch too.
Mm.
I think this will be a very fun matchup because both teams have things to counter the other really well. I think like the length and size of the Lakers defensively can pose a lot of problems for the wings on the Pels, but then the Pels also have the exact same thing. I think they have like the size mismatch. I think is going to be fun to watch between both teams. Who's going to guard CJ? That'll be fun.
Ooh.
So I think CJ might be an X factor in this game too.
I could see CJ hitting like 6 threes, like out of nowhere in this game.
Yeah, I just don't think there's anybody on the Lakers end that can guard CJ. But again, I think I've done enough betting against LeBron to bet against him this time. So if I'll have to choose, I'll take the Lakers. But I would not be surprised if the Pels run away with this game too, because like the youth is on their side. I think Zion should. I think this. I want Zion to have a breakout game somewhere. A
I do
national TV
too.
game.
He
Let him drop 40 and 12 or something on the
yeah. I
Lakers.
need I need Zion to at least get a 30 piece.
Yeah, I need it, man. I just want to see him succeed, bro. Like he's crazy is that he hasn't had a blown up game yet. In my like, do you guys remember a game where you were like, okay, he's arrived? Like,
Not
I don't
this
think he's ever had
season.
that
I don't think
game.
he's even cracked 30 yet.
Does he not?
It might have
I
been
don't
like
think
a
he has.
28, 25 point games his season high so far.
Jeez.
But anyways, to wrap this up, in terms of just like the overall in-season tournament, what do y'all think are some, some changes they can make in terms of whether it's more incentives slash like overall tinkering that they could add for next year?
Who the Pels?
No, the in-season tournament as a whole.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think the value. I think maybe there's. I mean, we talked about those last few podcasts. Like the team who wins the cup, like other than 500K, like how else can we have it relevant to the rest of the NBA season? Like, can we guarantee them a top 6 spot? Can we guarantee them a playing spot at the very least? Right? I don't know. I think there's. I mean, that's the thing. Like, let's say you're already a first seed by the time playoffs come around. Like, they don't even care about a play-in spot. They've already been guaranteed like way before that. So I don't know. I think there's got to be some sort of other incentive to make it like viable for the playoff time, so that like the in-season cup just has a bit more. There's more incentive for the players to try harder. Obviously, they already are. Like they're doing a great job of it, I think. But like something combined with the rest of the NBA season, I think would add to the narrative and the conversation around the game and around the tournament. But that's just my thoughts.
You know what I think they should do? I think that the team that wins should get the 15th pick. First pick outside the lottery. And if like I think if a team like Indiana wins, it'll give
Yeah.
more what's the word? More reason for it to happen because it's not a team that's like is a total surefire bona fide contender. Like I think it's a viable thing if either the Lakers or Bucks don't win it. I think it's a first pick outside the lottery. It's not a guaranteed hit, but there is definitely value in there. So I think something like that could be better than, you know, if you give them a surefire playoff spot, then it kind of kills the whole reason to be in the rest of the regular season. Something like that, maybe. But yeah, how do y'all feel
Why
about
not
the
both?
maybe? How do y'all feel about the point differential? Because there's been a lot of mixed opinions. Some people are like, disrespecting the game. You know, obviously it's the Bulls because they got Andre Drummond, but
Keep it. I mean, it's applied in every other basketball tournament, AAU, college, like every other tournament, every other major league there is around the league. The NBA is the only one with like this disrespect thing. But I mean, it's part of the rules. So I think I don't know. I mean, we've all played levels of basketball. I've played multiple levels of basketball, and everywhere you go, every tournament point differential matters. And if it doesn't matter, then you don't shoot the ball. I just think it's pretty black and white issue for me.
Mm. What about you, Chin?
Yeah, I'd pretty much agree to that too. Like, I think it's supposed to like help, sort of, I guess, balance the actual tables themselves. Like,
Yeah.
given that they only play a month long of games, and if you were to really think about like any big tournament in the world, like say the World Cup, it goes for I know at least longer than a month, and it's because you need to have like, and given like there's even less teams playing too, and less games happening as a whole. So I think it's just like to help actually add some value or weight to the way the tournament actually pans out. And yeah, I think to answer your question earlier, I think the incentive really has to come with, I think, more than just like player value. I think can't really just toss 500K to each player and call that like a tournament, I
Yeah.
don't think it really provides any value in the long term for fans. And I think given it's the first year, like fans aren't really going to give a shit if like players are getting money and nothing's happening for the organization. But I think somewhere down the line, it might fall a little flat if there's no like incentive for like the say the state that's winning or wherever, maybe the province if Toronto wins it one day. But like I mentioned, I think on the previous podcast, it'd be cool if like whatever team won like wins like a park, or like a new basketball
Yeah.
court built for like their
That's right.
city. And
Yeah,
I think that just goes a long way in terms of building a community and like a reasoning why this tournament could be important.
for sure. I think they'll definitely like table it, see what could happen, what couldn't happen. But overall, I mean, Ruben already said in the beginning, Adam Silver never misses, man. Alrighty, we're here at the real meat and potatoes of the podcast, y'all. Trades. Like I said, December 15th is the first opportunity where, people that sign to new teams have the potential to be moved. And yeah, so let's just start throwing them out. I'll start here. For me, I think a team that I really want to see make a move is the Spurs, just to get like a legitimate point guard. Because I think, having Sohan's cool. Let him grow into that. I can see that happening. But I think you need like a real legit point guard to still be there. And for me, a guy that could, still fit the timeline to an extent, he would definitely be on like the tail end if we look at like the whole 5 year plan sort of thing. And for me, it's Markel Fultz. I think when you look at
Yeah.
how Orlando's really been shaping up, it's not to say that they don't need him, but they're looking really good. They're that team that's taking that next step. And Anthony Black is a guy who's really started to earn some minutes. Jalen Suggs is a guy who's revitalizing his career. And I just think that Markel's a guy that could benefit from being on a team like the Spurs. Because, you have Devin Vassell, you have Keldon Johnson, you have Wembanyama, of course. But having a real connector like him, I think, could be really, really beneficial. And I don't think it really take that much either. To match the money, you got to throw Doug McDermott. And the Spurs got like low key, they got a decent amount of picks to throw. They don't even really have to throw their own. But that's the first one I'm thinking.
Fultz is a good one. I think he just needs a new home too. A lot of point guards over there. It's a logjam.
Hmm. All right, who wants to throw out their trade?
Pascal Siakam to the Pacers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Siakam to the Pacers. Give us Nemhard and Mathurin, a couple picks. Buddy Healed. I think that solves a lot of issues for both teams. In a degree, I mean, you would lose like a lot of the identity that Pacers have, and again, you don't want to necessarily mess up the chemistry that they have. But if you want to look at this team being a long-term contender, I think you really have to think about flirting with the idea of bringing on a 1A, 1B guy like Siakam. And I think that really elevates your ceiling when you have a guy like Siakam, considering I don't think that he necessarily, again, you would think about the shooting, there's a drop off on shooting there, but in terms of his ability to play make, a secondary or primary shot creator to Halliburton, um, defensive guy, size, can do everything on the floor. I think there's a really nice fit there. And for Toronto, like you're talking about long term, Nemhard and Mathurin, potential draft capital, build around Scotty. I think those are really good pieces around him. I think if they want to stay competitive this year, I think Heald does a lot of good things. Like just simply spread the floor, man, because the Raptors can't shoot for shite.
Hey, man.
So
Buddy Hield, top 5 shooter all time.
you think so?
For maybe 6 actually, because obviously it's Steph. You got Reggie. You got Ray.
Ray,
You got Dame. Oh, and low key, Buddy might be
Dame's in
that
there.
5.
You think Buddy's at 5?
Because again, I think it's Steph. I would put Dame too, honestly. Because
No, Dame would
like
be in
the
that. I absolutely
repertoire.
not. Dame's got to be in the top 5.
So again, Steph, Dame, Reggie, Ray. I think Buddy Hield low key might be there. Because his
I mean,
his
Clay?
volume is actually pretty nasty.
Clay's got to be top 5. But I mean, the drop
Uh,
off now might bring him down. But I think I'd have Clay in that top 5 right now.
but I don't know.
Kevin Durant, like he might be in that
you
top
don't you
5
don't think
too.
of KD
I
as
think
like
even James Harden.
you don't think of KD as like a 3-point shooter though. KD is a midi guy.
That brother is a 50, 40, 90 almost every year. No,
Oh, you had to add the almost because he's never shot 50, 40.
I mean not technically,
Yeah,
but like he's flirted with those numbers almost every year. His
for sure.
efficiency, that's
For
why
sure.
people look at him as the top scorer. I don't know. There's like you could look at Dirk in that top 5. I mean
We're
Larry.
just talking strictly 3-point shooting.
Yeah, like I
I think
mean
Buddy Hield's like,
percentages,
if he's not top 5,
volume.
he's like around that 6 to 7 range.
Let's look at this then.
Like I think he's led the league in like 3-point makes like the last couple of years. Tell you, but Buddy Hield's that man. Might have lied about his age,
Yeah.
but you don't lie about that stroke.
Bro, damn. I mean, all time. Well, the percentages we're looking at all time is a whole different thing. Makes. Let's go to makes.
The makes thing would be tough because he did come into the league when he was like 24.
But I think I think Buddy's gonna have a long career, anyways. So I think there's pretty good chance he's right up there.
But either way, yeah, I like the idea of. Oh man, I don't know if Andrew Nemhard.
you,
If he's in
you
the,
might be on something. He's 26th all time in makes, but he's got a 40% clip, which would put him literally Kyle Korver, Ray Allen, Steph status, Clay.
say it, man, Buddy Hield
Like,
is
let me
that
see.
guy.
Let me see if I can 3-point percentage. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Buddy might be right there.
Yeah, if he's not like in the top 5, he's like that 6, 7, 8 range for sure, undoubtedly. Like if we're talking strict 3-pointers. But anyways, let's get a little bit back on track. So
Buddy Hield's a real one.
Buddy Hield's for sure a real one. I do like the idea of because I think if you do trade Pascal, I think it just finally sets the blueprint in terms of where you're going, because it's always been this whole sort of we want to
Pick a damn direction, man.
Exactamundo. And I mean the number of Nemhard jerseys you're gonna sell. Whew. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Mathurin too, man, if he comes over.
Oh, true. Man, tell you what, none of those guys would ever sleep alone at night in Toronto. Know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Shin, let's hear one of your trades.
Oh man, I feel like I'm really bad at predicting these trades, and I think I like the only thing that's ever stood out to me in this last bit here is like, and it's always the photoshops that get me, to be honest. But this specific Photoshop, I thought just made sense in my mind. But I'd really like to see, and mind you, the realistic factor really kicking in. Don't really know how this works out, how the money works out, but I want to see DeMar DeRozan end up either, and I think he's already eligible for trade, and it's just more about that team blowing it up relatively soon. I want to see him. I saw. Okay, here's the Photoshop. It was him with the starting five with the Knicks and him with the starting five with the Miami Heat. And I
Oh
think to
man.
me, I think even though the Miami Heat already got a bunch of clunky 3-point shooters, with the exception of their white boys, I think
Damn.
that's pretty much the structure of their team.
Hey,
They got
you're not
Jimmy doesn't
wrong.
make a three, but they got Jimmy don't make a three Butler, and they got Bam Adebayo, who's just like has a little bit of everything and not a lot of everything at the same time. But I think DeMar
White boy
DeRozan is
shooters.
yeah, they
That
got
does
the
not
work,
sound
The
good.
white boys, man.
Oh, what?
but they
I feel you though. I feel you though.
but I think he fits into that culture, and I think like if they really want to have that sort of wing presence or second wing presence that I think could really fill out at least like just the starting five on that team, so you're not starting like an undrafted guy every season. I think like he I would say for the most part fits the timeline. Not really saying they have much of one right now, to be honest. But I think they're more of a win now team than they are. We're building this for something, Like I
Mhm.
think the speculation of trading Tyler Hero has been in the air forever, and obviously he's a very valuable player. Don't get me wrong, but I think like much like how the Warriors were, I think they just have a weird mix of talent in different age groups. That I think needs to go one direction or the other, and I think DeMar DeRozan is, he's a certified bucket. I think he plays hard defense, and I think he has a sort of like grit and grind, I guess, aspect to
Yeah.
him that just fits. So I think that's the only trade that, at least in my head, like even though it would take a lot for it to happen, I think it just looked like it made sense to me.
DeMar would be the most heat culture pickup. Cause
Hundred
that's like
percent.
I like the idea of that, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure, for
not
sure.
realistic, but
You know, if there's one person I want to see in the Big Apple, I think Laurie Markkinen would be splendid on that team.
jeez.
Know what I'm saying? Because
I think. Do you guys think he gets moved pretty soon? Because I feel like I have a feeling that he gets moved pretty soon.
for sure, I think if he was maybe, because he's what, 26, 27.
Yeah.
If he was like 24, 25, I don't think they'd move him. But because he's like right at that bubble of you're hitting your prime, and like the Jazz are like at least 4 years away from doing anything like substantial, I think you got to let him spread his wings because you know the career arc of Laurie Markin has been like I think really interesting to watch because you go to Chicago, you sow some pretty solid chops, and then Jim Boylan happens. You go to Cleveland, you're relegated to sort of a catch and shoot guy. You don't really have any opportunity to create for yourself, and then you're just a throw in to get Donovan Mitchell there. Now in Utah, you really start to like reestablish yourself, and that results in an All Star berth. Now let this brother go ball in the mecca of basketball. Ooh, looking very very spicy too.
I think he would elevate that whole team. I
I think
think
so too.
that
Yeah.
that would be a piece. Like again, I said earlier, like they don't have the surefire guy, but a Markkinen would also not necessarily be that 1A guy, like the top 15 player,
Mm-hmm.
but he would solve a lot of issues from the standpoint of size, shooting the ball, shot creation, secondary, tertiary shot creation. Like it's a perfect fit, man.
Yeah, and you only got to throw in the the bum to get the trade done financially.
I don't know if
I
he's a
mean,
bum. I think he's the greatest shooter in European history.
I don't know, man. I'll take Sasha Vujacic any day over Evan Fournier.
Sasha Vujacic. I haven't heard that name in a minute. Jesus
True,
Christ.
but I mean, the Knicks still have a lot of those picks they can throw around. So this is one that I think is like wishful thinking, but I also think I think the Knicks have all the assets to make a move, and they need
Mm.
to make a move as well because they're. Oh man, I forgot to mention, like, talk about it earlier. But if we're thinking about teams that are like a piece away, and just overall who needs to make a move the most, the Knicks I think are at the top of that list.
100%.
for sure. Ruben, you got any other trades to throw out?
I mean, we've. I'll say an obvious one, like Zach Levine. I think he's got to go somewhere. I think Philly makes a lot of sense. But you also don't want to disrupt what they've got because
Yeah,
they
I
have
think Philly's
pieces.
cooking.
They're cooking, but they're certainly gonna. There's going to be a move made on their end, whether it's now between now and the deadline, because there's just so much draft capital that they're not gonna bank on, considering they want to win now. So I mean, that's a different conversation for another day. But I think Zach Levine on Philly makes a lot of sense. I think Zach Levine, if the Lakers decide they want to do some more noise during trade deadline, I think there's an opportunity there. Um, yeah, I think Zach Levine anywhere but the Bulls at this point. I think it's almost like I think it's a 9% thing that Zach Levine's gone by deadline time.
He's got an ankle injury, but you
That
know.
yeah, you guys know the Brian Windhorse, the meme
Oh
where
yeah.
he's like, why would he?
Why would he have an
I
ankle
think
injury?
I will say, you know what? It would be cool to see the Wolves try to pick someone up because that team is while they're cooking, but man, the Wolves are looking good. They can add a little something something
Do
to that
y'all
team.
do y'all remember when he got drafted, Zach Levine,
Yeah.
and it panned over to
God
him? He
damn.
said, "Fuck
Man,
this."
god damn. I'm not saying he'll go to the Wolves, but I'm saying like it would be interesting the Wolves getting somebody. It doesn't even have to be like an all-star, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
they're a team that
they need. It would be nice for them to add like another solid
damn
rotation guy.
on the Wolves.
Come on, guys,
Damn.
Minnesota.
Damn. I'm calling Minnesota. Minnesota.
I will say, man, if there's any time to be there right now, it's right now.
That's right
You
now.
got a
Yeah.
top five guy potentially. You got the best French center in the league. Shout out to Wemby. But I wanna ask y'all this: do the Warriors trade Clay? Do you like just overall? Do they need to make a move? But it's just what is the move at this point? I guess. Yeah, that's tough
That's such a
because
hard question to answer,
right.
honestly. I think, like, to be honest, the player who's really not been showing out on that team, but I don't know if this is the answer. But I think at the same time they somewhat allude to it is Andrew Wiggins maybe finally being knocked off the boat. Like, and I'm not saying he is by any means like, you know, a joke to the team, but I think they've been alluding to Jonathan Kuminga taking the next step for quite a while. Not to say he would fill in that exact role that I think Andrew Wiggins does provide, because I don't
Uh,
think that's necessarily the whole either. I just think like they could definitely either get something out of Andrew Wiggins, um, as he's kind of like I think a player that could be inserted into a team that maybe wants to win now, and they could invest more in their future. Because I think the Warriors are at that point where they're like, okay, we got CP3, we got Steph, we have pretty much all these 30-year-olds on this team. Who are we really going to add to this team? Or are we going to start like locking in on the future and start giving these guys more burn? It's like it's one or the other for them at this point, or they just ship off all the young guys again.
this just in. Woj just tweeted Zach Levine to miss an additional 3 to 4 weeks. I
That's
guess
some
Right.
shit.
I guess they
Right
were
for
they
the
weren't able to find
information.
a trade they like.
They were listening to us live, yo. They were listening to us live.
Oh
Damn.
man. Yeah, I think I was initially on the team of trade Clay, but I think it's one. I think you just let this team ride out. I
Yep.
get the whole you deserve to have a contender around Steph for these last few years, but it's also like you would kill a lot of like the culture you've established for all those years if you take out Clay. So I think for that reason, I think if there's a guy to move, yeah, I think Wiggins might be the one too. But it's just about who's the one that gets moved. Maybe Pascal. Who knows?
Yeah. I think that was a conversation. Like Pods, Moody, Kaminga, CP, or Wiggins, a pick for Siakam. I mean, we've already seen too that I don't think Steve Kerr is going to change his strategy in playing his vets over the young guys. So, which is kind of unfortunate because, like, man, Moody and Kaminga are guys that can contribute to you right away.
And
Not them not getting a fair shake is
Pods,
tough.
I tweeted it earlier. Pods isn't just a white guy in the NBA, man. He's a white
That guy's,
boy.
yeah, he's
That
a
guy's
white
a
boy. Yeah,
dog.
he's real. I like
Holy.
him. I like Pods. Big fan of him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Alrighty. Another trade I'm thinking. I was waiting. We were talking about the Suns earlier. And when you look at that Pacers team, there's one guy that's like could contribute to a contender for sure, but just doesn't get any burn. Just because of like the way they're structured, they want to run their young guys. But I think TJ McConnell would. He's the guy that could be
Mm.
the table setter for the Suns for sure. I
Yeah.
think that's something that's been floating around Twitter for a while. And then when you just look at it, it's like the move that makes the most sense for sure. And they have a guy you can just trade straight up for with it with Grayson Allen's contract. But man, I think he's just a guy that would not only fix a lot of the problems that they have at the moment, but add another dynamic because he is a guy where he's a feisty guy. He's gonna fight for loose balls. He's gonna encourage people to be hustlers on the team. He's gonna take charges. He's gonna you know he's got that he got a nice little fader on him, so he fits right in with KD and Book. And just overall, just he would add a lot of like spark and gumption to the team that I think that right now this Suns team doesn't have outside of like Booker and KD and Beal. They don't really have any dogs. TJ McConnell could definitely add something to that for sure.
I think he's a perfect fit too, right? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
like just he's not a guy that's gonna look for high volume shots. I mean, he's just gonna be a table setter, can defend. I mean, it's almost God. What does he remind me of? He's like it's reminding me so much of like Derek Fisher in a sense, where the guy is just a
Yeah.
perfect fit for a system where he's not a doesn't require much at all. You can kind of plug him in, and he's really good alongside just a bunch of great players. I don't know, man. Like I like the fit. TJ McConnell's an interesting one because
Right?
you wouldn't be out here and you wouldn't be like TJ McConnell is going to be the savior of any team, but he's a table
He
setter, and
could
like I think that's
definitely,
simply
yeah.
what they need. I like that.
What about the Wizards? Who do y'all think gets moved from there? Because
I don't
they're
even know, man.
saying they're not with Jordan Poole, but Jordan Poole is also he's probably shot himself from like how many first round picks do you guys think Golden State could have got post chip run?
Man, a hell of a lot.
Right?
At least three.
Yeah,
I
that's what
think
I
at
was
least two
thinking
or three.
too.
Maybe two in a swap or two and two swaps or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then now
That
he's
brother is
give me
garbage.
4 seconds. That's the going rate for a role player now. 4 seconds.
You know that SpongeBob meme where it's like, "Oh, brother, this guy stinks."
Yeah.
He is the living
That's Jordan
embodiment of
Poole.
that. Man,
He's getting traded for a printer.
I thought he was gonna like go back into being a dog, but he's more of a puppy. So that's why I think Kuz is a guy that's for sure getting traded. And this is where he finally gets to the Kings. Because money wise, you can
Ooh.
just throw HB and Cave on. Now, if they're willing to accept that straight up, cool. Because when you look at like how it would impact the Kings, you know, you would have Keegan and Kuz and Sabonis as your front court and wing play, which is elite. And then like I think the only thing you would have a problem with is I think figuring out who your two would be, because you don't want to put Malik because he does way too well with like the bench unit. So whether it's like you throw Davion to be like a Pat Bev sort of player, or maybe you want one like the wings to play like guard, and then you put Sasha Vezenkov, who could I think really just do a lot of the same stuff that Kevin Herter's doing. And man, I think that could be a move that really propels the Kings from like how Christian was saying to being one of those teams where they're going to be a solid regular season team to where now this is a dangerous playoff team for sure.
Man, the Kings are one piece away. They could have,
Yeah,
man.
man.
They probably could have done it in the damn offseason when needing at the rebound, not trading none of them.
He's one of these bad.
But Harrison Barnes, greatest signing in franchise history.
Hey,
Sorry, Harrison, if you listen to this, my man.
shout out to HV. Appreciate you. He was like, oh, low key though. Harrison Barnes got one of the coldest nicknames ever.
What was his Black Falcon?
Yeah,
Man, that's a pretty sick name, yo. That's a
Right?
pretty sick. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
That is like an S tier nickname.
Yeah, that's pretty sick, yo. Can you imagine being called the Black Falcon? Like I would, bro. Man, you get some poon on that nickname, bro.
For sure, bro. Definitely not lacking in
Oh
any
man.
D.
Oh my god, definitely not. Oh
Oh
my
man.
god.
Any other
Yeah,
trades y'all got to throw out there?
For me, not at this point.
I think Malcolm Brogdon to somewhere.
Oh,
I think he
forgot
probably
about-
gets.
Yeah.
I think he gets moved somewhere eventually. While he's playing really well actually with the Blazers, Anthony Simons is coming back.
Yeah.
I think
back
there's
to
a
back.
level where I think they're gonna want to just transition fully to that young backcourt with Scoot and Anthony.
Y'all fuck with the goggles?
So sorry.
Y'all see that Scoot's playing with goggles?
Yeah, I think it's dope. I think it's kind of dope. I mean, I think for me, it's Brogdon. Brogdon's gonna get moved somewhere. I mean, he could very well be a guy on the Suns. I don't know if there's anything for Portland that they'd want back, but maybe it's expiring deals because like everybody on the Phoenix Suns is freaking expiring.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth looking into for Brogdon. I think he gets moved. Whatever team it is, I think he's going somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's just tough, like trying to see which team he does get moved to.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait, is he expiring this year, or do you have to take on all the money? Let's see. Because he's also
He had a 2-year deal, so I think he's expiring.
next
He's
season.
expiring in the next season. Yeah.
You know who I think he could end up on? Just looking at the depth chart of this team, and us talking about them maybe needing that, like one more piece. I think Minnesota could slip in there.
I definitely like that.
The 6th man again. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's because the way I see is like Mike Conley has been like a pure facilitator for them. Like he's averaging something like 10 and 7. Like he's really not getting his points, but he's really just dishing. And I think right now their second option from what I'm looking at is Shake Milton and someone like Nikhil Alexander-Walker who's barely getting burned, but still has a lot of life in him at least. Yeah, and I think that just like is someone that like could really help fill out that depth like as a proper player for like their guard rotation. But I think that's just like someone that came to mind, or it's a team that came to mind rather.
Ooh,
I like that a lot.
The idea of him, like him and Kuz are the guys that they're going to be the ones where them being traded has a heavy impact on who ends up winning.
Yeah.
Last one I'll throw out. I think Cameron Johnson to Memphis could be a big time.
Damn.
Yeah. I think I was gonna say like him, DFS. I think one of those wings are gone.
Oh, maybe even both, honestly. Because they got a lot. Like none of the rookies that played this year. Derek Whitehead's a little different because he is coming off of an injury. Noah Clowney's a guy that's in like that mold of a Claxton, but has more range. So you could look into giving him some burn. And Jalen Wilson, they picked in the second round, is one of those like pro-ready guys that hasn't really. I think he's played maybe a game.
Yeah.
But
do you think they go full young, because then that doesn't necessarily match a timeline like Mikal Bridges, considering he's like 27 already, right? He's a guy that you're gonna want to. He's pretty much in his prime of his career. This next 5 years are pretty much pivotal to his career.
Well, I
Like I
mean,
don't know if he's got that time left on his career path. Like in terms of like just thinking about the timeline.
like the team fully healthy, I feel like if you took out Cam and Dorian Finney-Smith, you still have like a decent roster to have around Mikel because you still got Dinwiddie, you still got Cam, you still got
Clax.
Clax, you still got Ben Simmons. Lonnie Walker's really been solid this year. Whenever he's gotten minutes, Royce O'Neal's a solid vet. You know, DSJ is a solid like guard defender. Dayron Sharp's proven to be like a really like dope backup big man. And then you fill out that last little spot with some like young guys. Could be some stuff. Like I think it's hard because right now they're above 500, so you do have like that little glimmer of hope that you could like blossom into one of these upper echelon teams if you're Jock Vaughn. But like I don't think if there's one for sure, I would say ooh, Dorian Finney Smith would probably be the one to move if they were to like for sure move one of them. But I just
Yeah.
think in the case of Memphis, they need to go after a wing. You know, I think they were saying they threw 3 first rounders for McCall, or no, for OG, or was it McCall? One of the two. But then now Cameron Johnson, he's not definitely either of those two level defensively, but he's proven that he can be a contributor to winning basketball at all times. And he definitely fits the timeline. Because I think overall, when you look at Memphis this year, the season sort of like totally cut. But if you're able to get like a Cam Johnson in, and then you get Jaw back, you can use this last bit of the season to really like mesh together so that come next season, you know, it could be that they're fine in the West. Know what I'm saying?
I'm fine in the West. Damn.
Oh, that.
Uh,
Oh, I think yo Chin, don't you have Jaw in our fantasy league, right?
I got John all my fantasy league,
Oh
yo.
man.
you stashing them, eh?
How many
I got
how
him in.
how many more games does he have left out?
Five. I think
He
it's
only
five. I
is
think he's
it?
got a
I
handful left.
thought. Yeah, I think it's something like 8 actually, but like yeah, I mean it's pretty
Yeah.
close.
How
Yeah,
many
like
I think
so. Yeah.
how
How
much
many
do
games
y'all
have
yeah.
think
Memphis played?
oh let's see.
Because isn't it also not what's the right word? Not prehistoric. It's like prehistoric. Thinking of freaking dinosaurs or some stuff. Like it doesn't it pull back from last season too?
No, I think the
No.
25's like fresh from the start of this year.
So then they're right about there because
They're
I think we've been. I think we're at the
20.
20 game mark.
Yeah, so oh fuck. Let's see. Okay, last
You
little
think they could make a push with Jaw?
ah
Absolutely.
that's tough.
A play-in spot for sure.
Oh, playing's doable for sure.
10th seed. I mean, they just have to get to like
Wait,
35
wait, let's
wins.
see.
They have to win like what are they? 3 and something, 4 and something.
Ooh. His
They would have to
first
win like 28
oh
games.
my gosh. Adam Silver, the NBA is rigged, man. Guess who he's coming back against if it was like he comes back on the first game he's eligible for.
The Lakers.
No, it's the 2019 draft like battle.
Oh,
Oh,
it's the fucking Pelicans.
To end off here, y'all, how much y'all think Ja goes for when he returns?
I'm gonna give him 28. I'll give him a
I
cool 28.
yeah.
I'm gonna give him a cool 28. I think
I
he'll have
think
a
I think
nice game,
Fitty.
but damn, this because his brother got him on a fantasy team.
Fitty, I'm
Hell
thinking
yeah.
he goes for like elite but not like explosive like 35 and 7. Like something along those lines.
Oh, for sure.
But man, cuz he's allowed to practice with the team, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he
No,
has.
no, he's not allowed in
Or is not.
he's not allowed during a team event, so he's not practicing with the team.
But he
He's
can
doing
go to the
one-on-one stuff.
facilities when it's like
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. His first basket's got to be a dunk. Imagine if he puts his nuts on Zion's forehead.
Oh my god.
Oof.
He's gonna
Yo,
go nuts.
I think if they can win at least 2 of these next 5, which now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of tough because like their schedule prior to this 5th game or to this first Jaw game is Timberwolves, or not Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Mavs, Rockets twice, and then the Thunder. So if you drop, I think they gotta win at least 2 of those games to like really make it a lot easier for Jaw. Because if we think about it, it's a 25 game suspension, but I don't think Jaw is gonna play all. What would that be? 62 or however many games it is. I don't know, even less than that, like 50,
Yeah, less than that.
50
Like about
whatever.
50, 57 games.
Yeah.
Potentially. And they just got to win 30 of those for them to be in this conversation of the 10th seed. I mean, actually,
No, because the West is freaking stacked.
Yeah. Plus, we're forgetting no Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark, no Marcus Smart. Like, oh man, it sounds bad, but I feel like they're gonna try to make the push, but then they're gonna end up at like 11th or something. Because yeah, when you think about who they gotta jump the Warriors, the Clippers, and you still got the Rockets and the Pels in that bottom half of the play-in, as well as the Suns. Like, it's not impossible, but hey, honestly, if there was a guy or the level of player that you need to do that, Jaws on that. I feel.
They're 6-14 right now. They are. What did you say? 10 games back of. No, they're about 3.5 games back of 10th.
Yeah.
They just gotta stay afloat.
But it's also
Damn.
like who gets kicked out of this?
Yeah, man. Because we didn't even talk about the Rockets and how good they've been. Like not good, but like they've been 9-9. They're ninth in the Western Conference. I thought they were gonna be a trash team, but they've been competitive.
Ime-
Sengun looks like a star.
Ime's got them boys hooping. They're
Man, who gets kicked out of that? I almost want to say it. I think it'll end up being the Rockets,
mm,
yeah.
just considering the youth and I mean, damn, that's a tough list, man. I think all of these teams are one injury away from just dropping out of this race completely.
yeah. I think it's definitely about who stays healthier the longest, for sure.
Damn. Fun times. Basketball's good right now. I'm happy about all the conversation, the narrative.
Absolutely, for sure. Any last things y'all want to say?
I got it.
Sayujiri, pick a damn direction.
That's a perfect way to end as always. Stay safe, stay blessed. We'll see y'all soon.
Back shots, back shots. Ah.